In this lesson, we're going to look at template literals in ES6. What is a template literal? Here is a long definition that we will break down through the rest of the lesson. Template literals are enclosed by the backtick. It is that button just above the tab button on the upper left-hand corner of your keyboard. They replace the single or double quotes typically used in strings. They may contain placeholders. Placeholders are indicated by the $ and curly braces. The expressions in the placeholders, including text contained between them, are passed to a function. The parts are concatenated together by the default function into a single string. Alright, that was a lengthy definition, but it is really simple to apply to your code and quickly see the benefits. First, let's look at how we can do new lines with ES6 versus ES5. In ES5, suppose we had this line of code. We declared a variable called sentence and assigned it a value of a string. After the word Rob, we hit the return key on our keyboard, moving to a new line. However, when the JavaScript engine interprets it and we log to the console our results, we have the whole string on one line. Even though we hit return and went to a new line in our text editor or console, we wouldn't get that new line. In fact, to get this new line, we would have to change our code to this. We added the \escape clause and the letter N to let our interpreter know that we wanted a new line. The result is that we get what we were looking for. However, template literals in ES6 let us accomplish this in another way. Let's change this to a template literal. Instead of the single or double quotes, we use a backtick to open and close what we want our string to be. Our JavaScript interpreter then takes into consideration the new line we went to when we hit return. The result looks just like what we typed. No backslashes, no special characters. While that was more intuitive and saves us some steps, it really only reduces the \escape character and the letter N. Let's look at another way that template literals help us even more in syntax and readability. We've declared two pizza topping variables. Then, for our pizza topping variable, we want to bring those variables into a string. To do this, we have to do a lot of work with spacing by creating strings to account for spaces or lack of spaces needed. This isn't very nice to look at, and you are continually needing to think about appropriate spacing and plus symbols. Let's go ahead and do this in ES6. We'll use the let statement and assign them the same values. We could also use the var keyword and produce the same results in this case. We could also turn these single quotes in our variables into backticks for what I'm about to show you, but we don't have to, so we will choose not to for now. Like in our first example for our pizza topping, we're going to use backticks instead of single or double quotes. Then, we're going to write out our string exactly as we want to read it. To insert our placeholders of topping 1 and topping 2, we simply use the $, then place our variable inside of opening and curly braces. No concatenation, no plus signs, no worrying about creating a string for spaces between words or a string for a punctuation mark. Simple. Other than starting our variable with a $, then wrapping it in curly braces, we write our sentence just as we would in English. Let's look at one more way that template literals simplify things in ES6. Suppose in ES5 we had an object with property value pairs. We'll use our toppings1 and toppings2 as our properties and the same values as last time. Within that object, we want to have another property that has a value of an anonymous function. To call on that property in addition to what we did in our previous example, we have to use the this keyword to access them. We could also, in this case, use the name of the object, pizza, to access the properties of topping 1 and topping 2. That is quite a bit of code and a lengthy process. Now, let's look at this code again. What we are looking at now will make it much more painless to type and read. Let's look at the property favorite pizza that we assigned our method to. We will use backticks instead of single quotes. Then, we won't have to worry about concatenation with the plus sign, creating spaces with strings, or punctuations with strings. We'll just use the $sign and curly braces and insert our placeholders of topping 1 and topping 2. And the results are the same. Alright, that is all we have for now in this lesson. I'll see you next in the lab, where we put what we have learned into practice.